I remember that morning like it was etched into my soul, the kind of day where the sun filters through the office windows, promising something better. But life has other plans. My name is Farnanda, and I've always been the type to pour my heart into everything I do. For years, I'd been grinding away at this mid-sized marketing firm in the city, starting as an intern fresh out of college and clawing my way up to junior account manager. It wasn't glamorous, but it was mine. A steady paycheck that let me afford my tiny apartment, the occasional coffee treat, and dreams of something more. I loved the buzz of the office, the late nights brainstorming campaigns, the way my ideas sometimes lit up the room. But then there was him, Mr. Harlan, my boss. He was the kind of man who walked in like he owned the air we breathed, with his tailored suits and that perpetual smirk that said he was always one step ahead. Harlan had been with the company forever, or so it seemed, rising to senior director through sheer charisma and a knack for closing deals. To the outside world, he was the golden boy, charming clients over lunches that cost more than my weekly groceries. But behind closed doors, he had a way of making you feel small. I'd seen it with others. A cutting remark here, a dismissed idea there. I tried to stay on his good side, smiling through the extra hours he piled on without thanks, telling myself it was just the corporate ladder. "Keep your head down, Elena," I'd whisper to my reflection in the bathroom mirror. "It'll pay off someday." That fateful day started innocently enough. It was payday, and I'd been eyeing my bank account all week, calculating how to stretch it until the next one. Rent was due, and after bills there wasn't much left for anything fun. I decided to treat myself to lunch from the vending machine, nothing fancy, just a sandwich and chips. As I sat at my desk munching away, Harlan sauntered by, his eyes landing on my meager meal. He stopped, that smirk creeping across his face like a shadow. "Elena," he said, his voice dripping with false pity, "is that all you're having? You can only afford trash like that?" The words hit me like a slap, but he wasn't done. He leaned in closer, his cologne overwhelming, and chuckled. "Don't complain about the economy menu, sweetheart. This is all you can handle with what we pay you. Maybe if you worked harder, you'd upgrade." The office went quiet. My cheeks burned as a few colleagues glanced over, pretending not to hear. I forced a laugh, mumbling something about being on a budget, but inside, my heart twisted. How dare he? I'd been pulling double shifts, covering for his mistakes more times than I could count. That smirk lingered in my mind all afternoon, a seed of doubt planting itself deep. But what I didn't know that day was that his words were just the tip of something darker, something that would shatter my trust in him and the whole company. As I packed up to leave, I noticed his office light still on, papers scattered like he'd left in a hurry. Curiosity tugged at me. Why the rush? Little did I realize that one peek would unravel everything. The days after Harlan's cruel jab blurred into a haze of resentment and routine. I couldn't shake it off. His words echoed every time I opened my wallet or skipped a meal to save a few bucks. "You can only afford trash." It wasn't just about the money, it was the way he said it, like I was beneath him, unworthy of anything better. I'd always prided myself on my work ethic, but now doubt crept in. Was I really not good enough? I started staying later, hoping to prove him wrong, but the more I observed, the more cracks I saw in his perfect facade. It began with small things. Harlan would disappear for long lunches, returning with that same smug grin, while the rest of us scrambled to meet deadlines. Then came the expense reports. I'd been tasked with filing them, and one evening, alone in the office, I stumbled upon discrepancies. A client dinner billed at twice the actual cost, receipts that didn't match. My stomach knotted as I dug deeper, pulling files from his drawer that he'd carelessly left unlocked. There were emails, too, hidden in a folder on the shared drive, communications with a competitor, sharing our campaign strategies for what looked like kickbacks. "This will seal the deal," one read, signed with his initials. My hands trembled as I read on. He'd been betraying the company, siphoning funds into his own pockets, all while belittling us for our economy lifestyles. The betrayal hit me like a wave crashing over my chest, leaving me breathless. How could he? I'd trusted him, admired his success even through the barbs. But here he was, stealing from the very team he mocked. Tears stung my eyes as memories flooded back. The times he'd dismissed my raises, claiming the budget was tight, while he drove a new sports car. "Work harder," he'd say. But now I saw the truth. He was the one draining us dry. That night, I sat in my car in the parking lot, sobbing quietly. My world felt shattered. The job I loved was built on lies. Anger bubbled up, mixing with the hurt. How many others had he broken like this? I confided in a close colleague, Sarah, over coffee the next day. "Elena, this is huge," she whispered, her eyes wide. "We have to do something." But fear gripped me. What if I lost everything? Harlan had connections. He could ruin my career. Days turned into sleepless nights, my mind racing with what-ifs. I replayed his sneer in my head, fueling a fire I didn't know I had. Slowly, the pain shifted. It wasn't just about me anymore. It was about justice for all of us he'd stepped on. I started gathering evidence quietly, screenshots, copies of reports, building a case like pieces of a puzzle falling into place. But what I didn't expect, I thought, was how this would change me forever. The shift from victim to avenger felt empowering, yet terrifying, until everything changed when I overheard him on a call, laughing about another bonus he'd skimmed. That was the breaking point. My heartbreak turned to resolve. I wouldn't let him destroy us any longer. With my heart pounding like a drum in my chest, I knew I couldn't stay silent. The evidence I'd collected burned a hole in my bag, a silent promise of truth. I scheduled a meeting with the company's HR director and the CEO, my hands shaking as I hit send. "This ends now," I whispered to myself, drawing strength from the pain he'd inflicted. The day of the meeting, the office hummed with its usual rhythm, but inside, a storm brewed. Harlan strutted in late, as always, flashing that smirk at me from across the room. If only he knew. As we gathered in the boardroom, I laid it all out. The forged receipts, the leaked strategies, the secret accounts. The CEO's face hardened, HR scribbling notes furiously. Harlan's expression shifted from confusion to fury, his voice rising. "This is absurd! Elena's just bitter because she can't handle the pressure." But the proof was undeniable. Emails don't lie. Security was called, and watching him being escorted out, his belongings in a box, felt like a weight lifting from my soul. You'll regret this," he snarled at me, but his voice cracked, the smirk gone, replaced by desperation. Karma had hit hard, exposing his secrets to the light. In the weeks that followed, the company investigated further, uncovering even more, enough for legal action. Harlan faced charges for embezzlement, his reputation shattered like glass. Whispers spread through the industry, doors that once opened for him slammed shut. For me, it was bittersweet. I got promoted, a raise that let me breathe easier, but the real victory was the peace. No more vending machine lunches out of necessity, no more feeling small. Looking back, that cruel sneer was the catalyst that awakened my strength. Betrayal cuts deep, but it can forge you into something unbreakable. If there's a lesson here, it's this. Never underestimate the quiet ones. We endure, we observe, and when the time comes, we rise. Life has a way of balancing the scales, and sometimes karma doesn't just whisper, it roars. I've found my voice now, and I'll never let anyone make me feel like trash again. Thanks for watching. Like and comment, subscribe for more videos.